Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. That's right, I homeschool. My name is Mrs. T. Have people made assumptions about you or your family because you homeschool? Well, I'm sure the answer is yes. Comment down below with the assumptions you've received, but I want to share with you some of the assumptions that people have made about me or my children or my family because we homeschool. Now, some of these assumptions have been vocalized to me in person. Some of them come through comments here in YouTube, so let's just address it. One thing that I find very interesting is a lot of the assumptions that are made about us are actually opposite sides of the same coin. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Assumption number one is that my family is religious. I think this is a fair assumption, especially in the area that we're in, because the majority of people who are homeschooling are in fact very religious. We're in a very Christian heavy area where a majority of the homeschoolers that I have come across are associated to a particular faith. And majority of the people that I talk to will say almost immediately after, like, oh, you homeschool, great. What church do you go to? That's like the very next thing that they almost always say. And this is a false assumption. We are not a religious family, though we are pulling in religious worldviews into our studies, but this would be a false assumption. Next assumption, I have had people assume that my kids are either behind or geniuses. Like there's kind of this assumption where it's like, oh, you homeschool, your kids must be so smart. Or you homeschool, aren't you worried like your kids are behind? I kind of get both, and I would say equally. And you know what? My kids are just kids. There are areas where both of them are doing really well and they are excelling, and there are areas that are just not their forte. And the areas that are not their forte, it's not because we are not making an effort and we're, not teaching our children. It would not be their forte in a public building either, right? It's just we have things we like and things we don't like. And especially at this age, when we don't like something, we kind of dig in our heels, and is what it is. We're still learning, we're still moving forward. I would say both assumptions, that we're behind or we're raising little geniuses, both of those are false. All right, next assumption is that we use way too much curriculum, which is a comment I definitely have received here on YouTube more than once. And the flip side of that is that we are unschooling our children and we are not dedicating enough time to curriculum. And I've gotten this more in person than on YouTube for sure. I would say we definitely lean more toward using too much curriculum. I agree with this assumption. I think part of us using too much curriculum is really me trying to figure out what's going to work for our family. And I think each year, my goal here is to get a little bit better and to have a better understanding of what we can handle and what we should handle and how much we should do. So I do hope that if you look at my very first curriculum video and my latest, you will see that it's been refined a little bit and it's a little bit more realistic. But even so, I do think we do tend to use a little bit more curriculum than we need. Now, from an unschooling assumption here where we don't use curriculum, that's definitely not true. That's a big false. We definitely are not unschoolers. We do pursue and explore personal interests for my children, but we still pull in resources, like we still guide. So for example, my first grader this year, the 3 things he really wanted to learn about is coding, he wanted to do the human body, and Spanish. And we're pulling in curriculum for all 3. And we are allotting time to do that personal exploration. So we're still going down that interest route that you often see with unschoolers, but it is definitely not it's not child-led in the sense of like, I just kind of follow him. I got his feedback and then I built and I'm pulling in and I'm still teaching him. So that part of this assumption is false. Next assumption that I'm sure you guys have heard many times is that my children are unsocialized and socially isolated. And this is false, but I understand why this is an assumption, right? And there are so many YouTubers out here that talk about this, so I won't go on this for too long. But I do think that homeschooling can be very difficult in certain areas. There are certain areas in the United States that there is no strong homeschool community. School is a way to meet people, and you don't have very many social opportunities in some areas. I happen to live in an area and have happened to meet a lot of people that we are really starting to find our community. So I find that my children are socializing really well. And because we are mixing with different families in different groups, like we have a co-op, we're doing martial arts, we have all these different things, they're really good about knowing how to interact with like babies all the way to grown-ups and everywhere in between. They're comfortable talking to teenagers, for example, like they're not afraid of asking questions from teachers and other people as well. Like I think they have a really good balance for their social life at this point in time. And I'm really, really grateful for the opportunities we have had in the area that we live. So I would say that this is a false assumption. The next assumption is that my husband and I hate brick and mortar schools, and this is not correct. I would say this is definitely false. There are things about public and private schools that aren't my favorite, but there are plenty of positive things from both of those. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I know how to teach my children better than maybe some of the experienced teachers that are here. But I do think that any schooling option is a spectrum. Homeschooling is a spectrum, same with brick and mortar. There are going to be positives and negatives from both experiences, and you're going to have to navigate your own unique of positive and negative. But I don't hate public schools. It's just going to a public school right now where private school is just not in the cards or what's best for my family right now. So this would be false. And this leads me to my next assumption, which is that we are going to homeschool forever, or that we know when we want to stop homeschooling. And this is also a false assumption. I'm actually not even looking that far. In the sense of, I really think what's best is for us, regardless of how we are educating our children, to evaluate each year and see what is best. What would work best, not only for my kids, but for our family, right? Homeschooling is a family decision. It's not just what's best for the children, though that is obviously a really big portion of it. So anyway, assumption that we are going to forever homeschool. No, I'm not closed to it. I really hope that's where we go. I hope we are forever homeschooling, but each year we are going to have to evaluate. Next assumption is that I know what I'm doing. Maybe this is because I'm posting content on here. You know what? No, I don't. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best. I'll put it that way. I am doing my best. I'm constantly evaluating and I'm constantly learning and growing along with my child. There are so many things that I don't know with the best way to approach school and teaching, and there's so many things that I'm learning, but I try to approach my teaching with an open mind. I'm not a curriculum expert. I'm not a schedule expert. I'm not an expert on how to keep my house clean or how to meal plan. I'm not an expert. I'm just a person who is working really hard. This is my job. I love my job. It is fulfilling, but it is hard and it is challenging, and I'm doing my best. So false assumption. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here plugging along season by season. All right, and then last assumption here. This one was so funny. This just happened the other day. We had a doctor's appointment, and after the doctor's appointment, we went to the park to get our wiggles out and to process, right, the appointment. And this was like 10:30 in the morning, and we came across an elderly couple, and they made a comment like, why aren't your children in school? And my children very proudly like, oh, we homeschool, we're in school. And immediately they both made the assumption, they're like, oh, you play all day? I'm like, no, we're not gonna be here all day. False, we do not play all day. Now, we do incorporate a lot of play in our homeschool. We're very purposeful with our play. And then we also have free, we'll call it willy-nilly, whatever we want to do play. We have both. I understand why this is an assumption, especially when you see my children playing at odd hours. But the joy of homeschool is that we have this flexibility to incorporate more play if we want, and we do want. So we do have a lot more play, but we're not only playing. As you guys know, we have a lot of curriculum. We have a lot of things that we're doing. We're in a co-op. We meet with other people. We have things. We've got piano and martial arts. We're not just playing all day. We are learning and we are growing and we are thriving. And I do think play is absolutely key to that. So that is definitely part of our formula here in our homeschool. But no, we're not playing all day. All right, you guys, those were just a couple of assumptions. Comment down below if people have made any of these assumptions about you or your family. And if you have other things that you're making assumptions about me, comment down below as well. I would love to know them so I can address them and answer any of your questions. Thank you so much, everyone. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.